It's the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes post-match phone-in on X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days.
Spaces, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Dnsye, its continuing mission to explore strange new opinions, to seek out new Watford fans in new civilizations, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before.
Well, no old manager bounce, it appears. Yes, an interesting start to the selection of the 11. Lots of people not particularly happy at seeing Sissoko and Kayembe start. Let's find out what you guys think. Well, as ever, guys, just to get involved, just hit request and we will get you in per normal. Bit of a normal Watford thing. If your season isn't working, if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Watford team. Why do we get every other team's fucking season off to off when we don't need to? It's not about managers. It's not about who's there. It's an ingrained Watford thing. Or is it, am I just being twitchy and there? Who knows? I don't know. Let me try and get Justin in as co-host. No, I've invited you in, Justin. Are you there, sir? Nope. I'll try and get you in. There we go. Everything's going badly already. There we go. Never mind. So yeah, what a frustration. Why don't football? I'm gonna have a couple of minutes rant. With football, I appreciate there are people who will tell me that the reason we don't play long ball and the reason we keep it at the back is because the percentage when we go forward, if we play a long ball, we will give it away, is such that we want to make sure that we retain the possession. And I get it. But to my knowledge, no team in the history of football has lost a match based on the percentage of the game of the ball they gave it away. I could be wrong, but I don't bloody think so. So why not go and play the football in the opposition half? Why do we always, and all teams do it, and I know I'm just ranting because we've all just watched 80 minutes of let's get the ball, let's keep it, let's get ourselves closed in on by a team who are actually pressing and then give the ball away a lot. I appreciate I'm an old cretin, but could we not go and play that last 10 minutes? What's stopping us playing that over longer periods? It is what's happened previously. It is what other teams are doing to us, and we're not doing to it. So it's not been the best of starts for Yavi. Justin, sir.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Sorry about that. Just having fun with the Twitter dashboard as we start. We've got plenty of people, but before we get to everybody else's opinion, rather than ours and my old crotchety old thoughts, what are your thoughts on the game, the day, and indeed the slightly different blue shirt?
Well, you called it, didn't you? When we did a pre-match thing with Chad, you said no one starts a season like Watford, and we've done it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, not great. I did actually try and accept the co-host thing, but it said there was an error. So maybe try that again in a bit.
Yeah, we'll try that. Never mind. We won't let daylight in upon magic that we're running this on tin cans and a piece of string. We'll pretend that there's more to it than that. We will do that. He was first in. I'm going to go to Paul Holly, find out what Paul's thoughts are on everything. Paul, sir, how are you doing?
I'm very angry.
Okay, sir, this is the place for whatever anybody thinks. You can say it here. It's there to be discussed. It doesn't change your opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. If you want to share something with us, volunteer, come on and have a chat, or you can put it in the 5 words in the long form. Paul is very angry. And Paul, vent away, sir.
Thank you, Pete. So, with a bit of a renewed optimism, with the changing head coach, thinking this would trigger the right team selection, put our best 11 players on the pitch. Okay, everyone has an opinion, but probably the fans would agree at least 9 of the 11. And then at 1:45, my demeanour, everything just sunk. And I think I tweeted it. Chris Wilder must have been jumping up and down in that Sheffield United dressing room thinking, here we go, this is going to launch my season. What a disgrace to play Sissoko. Not one person would pick that man in the starting 11. His legs have gone. And then you've got Kayembe starting. And from that moment on, I knew we would lose. And I'm just disgusted. And what this stinks and reeks of is interference. He's obviously not had the full influence on picking that team. And if you remember, Pezzolano mentioned several times Watford need to be a serious football club. Now, that was a subliminal message about the interference that goes on. And subsequently, after he was fired, he's talked about being put under pressure to pick Mogi Bayat players, for example.
Yep.
Reading between the lines, he had to go because there was bad karma and he was too much of a disciplinarian. And obviously, he was very unpopular. But there were elements in truth in what he left and what was said. I am absolutely flabbergasted by that selection. And what it tells me already is that Javi, the easy option, unemployed, is absolutely going to be a puppet. And we're going to have to put up this crap time and time and time again. Any manager worth their salt that was given free rein, allowed to pick the team that they want, would have our best players on the pitch. Pete, I am so angry.
I can hear it.
This is just gonna get very toxic again. The problem is Gino Pozzo, Scott Duxbury, Mogi Bayat. It ain't going to go away for the foreseeable. It's going to be toxic and nasty.
Is there right? I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Paul. So if you've got a little Pete doll at home, get your needles ready and stick them out. But I'm only playing a role, so go with me here. Is there something to be said that obviously, as it's his first game, that perhaps the as you say, the interference, the suggestion as to who should play might have come from the technical director, Mr. Nani or Mr. Barami, and therefore it would sound like the kind of team that we know that a certain Mr. Moji Bayat would like to see being played. There are certain players in that who you kind of raise an eye. What does it mean though if on Wednesday and next Saturday we don't have shall we say a team closer to the one that most people saw? And this isn't talking about the performance. This, everything that Paul said here is still at 145, and I think a lot of people's response was, "What? Really? How? Why?" Surely he's got to make sure that he's showing that he's his own man, hasn't he?
So if you go into a business where you don't know anyone,
yep,
and you're taking over from someone because they've been, fired or because they're moving on, you might get a steer from people to say, this is the team, this is Fred, these are his strengths and weaknesses. But really strong leaders make their own minds up, all right? They give people time.
Yep.
This is football. All our games are on video. Xavi would have been in talks with Watford for at least a week or two.
Yep.
He would have been able to sit down and review games, look at the feedback, look at all the stats, the data. Yes, he can get an opinion from Nani, Barami, Salami, and everyone else.
Pepperami, you missed him. Yeah, go on.
And Pepperami, yeah. But he should be able to go in and pick the team. No way do I think he sat there and gone, oh, my best team, yeah, I'm going to have Sissoko, Kayembe, yeah, let's bring Pollock back in. I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. That is total influence from Pozzo and Bayat. I mean, to be fair to Duxbury, he's just a puppet himself. He wouldn't have probably had any influence on that. It would have been the other two. But I absolutely no way, Pete. There's too much information and videos to say, oh, he's not landed off Mars and they've gone, well, it's your first game, fella. Let's give you a little bit of help and a steer. Maybe you should set it up like this. It's just I don't know. I'm just
No,
so angry.
Sir,
And
I asked the question and you answered it beautifully, which is absolutely correct. There is no end of evidence. We all know that you can catch highlights and catch goals and catch the full match. You can watch every single one of them via the Watford FC website. And he's been back in for a week and a bit, so he can look at it. But obviously, as you quite rightly say, and the much maligned Fred, of whom you were just talking about, who's not up to much, somebody might say it, but he's got to show that this is his team very, very quickly, surely. I mean, the formation was an interesting one, because it didn't feel like it was sort of as we might have expected to see, because you could almost think, okay, it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, but it was sort of that 4-4-2 with Kayembe being up front and then not, and it seemed to be oddly rudderless. Sissoko again being on the right hand side, and Iran Kunda certainly at the start of the first half was much more on the left hand side than Kayembe. It felt odd. It felt dysfunctional. And for the life of me, I don't get it either. But it's about everybody else's opinions here. Paul, thank you very much for getting us going in such a strong manner. I like that very much. Let's get to Rich. Just moving things about. Then we're going to be coming to Ben Pegram. Then we're going to be coming to Wendover. Then we're going to be going to Sharon as well, which is good. Oh, Sharon, excellent. We always get complaints we don't get enough women on. I'm looking forward to that. Rich, sir. Right. So this afternoon, Sissoko, old manager bounce or not? Discuss.
Oh, Pete. I don't swear very often. I mean, Paul, bless his heart. I mean, he's. If you just listen to Paul, you can times by 100 how I'm feeling. I am so pissed off with what I've just watched.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe, after the fanfare of bringing somebody in that you think is a sensible guy, I cannot believe what I have just watched. I cannot believe the team he's picked. How you've got people like Sissoko, Kayembe, and I'm going to say it as well, and I'm sorry if this upsets a few, but he's bloody useless. Pollock in the team. He cannot pass on his left foot. He completely slows the game up. I think he's a dreadful centre back in the position that he's playing. It may be not his fault he's playing left side, but he's playing there, so do something. We've got Abankwa, we've got Alian, we've got Mende, nowhere to be seen today, and Pollock is on that team. Kevin ain't much better at the moment. I don't know what's the matter with him. I thought it was disgusting. I cannot believe we cannot pass the ball from A to B half the time. Their first half, just about acceptable. Now, we're playing a team, bottom of the table, can't buy a win, got good players out of their team as well, and they have just turned up today. They were awful. That is the worst Sheffield United team I've seen for years. But they finished in the playoffs last season. They're bottom of the table for a reason. They probably won't be there all season. They'll certainly be above us. It won't take them long to get above us. And we have made it easy. Peter, we've had one shot, one shot on target today against the team bottom of the table.
Yep.
We've had a left back in Wiley, who I thought was poor all game. Can't even, the ball's laid onto him, into his path, on his left foot, and he somehow slices it into the back of the supporters there.
Yep.
If Watford supporters that have travelled today are accepting of that, my God, lads, please, I'm incandescent today, because that is not a team that needed to be picked. It is not a team that needed to be out there. We've got people like Duomo can't even get in the whole squad. We've got players like Barr sitting on the bench, and then when he brings him on, he's putting him down the left. Okay, switched him to the right. We only played for about 10 minutes at the end. I mean, it's just the second half, the way we started. Now, I'll give Derek Payne his due. He was spot on. We've started that second half abysmal. We're passing along the back of the players.
Yeah.
And even in the 93rd minute, you've got Pollock, who's got a ball on his right foot. All he's got to do is launch it, and he passes the ball along to Ngakia. I mean, what the fuck goes through people's minds? This isn't a game. This isn't a hard game. As GT said, it's a game for the people and it's an easy game, football. Make it simple. But no, we were dreadful. And Sheffield United have not broken sweat to win that game. The minute they scored, yeah, it may have been offside, but we ain't got VAR, so it's not. They scored, and once they scored, they know the game's over. Wilder knows the mentality that goes through our football club. And Paul is absolutely right. There is interference because if Javi, after a couple of weeks, have looked at that squad and has looked at the training pitch and has turned that team out today, then you're stupid idiot, Javi, because you've been literally. I just words fail me, as you can probably see. It's rare for me to be this angry. I mean, we've had some crap this season, and Petzolano weren't much better. But it's you can see now for all that's out there that it's just not acceptable. If I ever see Sissoko put on a shirt again, and he, I'm not gonna, he's had a career and he's had a decent career. It's just not happened at Watford. And Tom Ince, I could call him out, and I'm thinking, what's Tom Ince doing on the football field? But he's not done anything terrible. But has he really made an impact and pushed us forward? He's a neat and tidy player, and there's a place where maybe with 5 minutes to go, when you're leading 1-0 and you want to hold the ball up, that's when you bring Tom on. I'm not going to slaughter him. He's done his career. But when you've got people like Vata sitting on the bench for most of the game, now Vata's come on, and to be fair, I'm not going to say he was great because he wasn't. That's young players for you, and you're in out. But at least he'll go forward with the ball, and if he's on longer, he's got time to get his form going. And you just look and think, Bar. I've said it week after week. He walks into any other team, probably in the top 30. Certainly in the Championship and the bottom half of the Premier, and we're sitting him on the bench till 60 minutes today. And then he puts him on down the left wing. Now Wilder knows what to do with it, and it was only when he went over to the right that anything happened. And I just despair with it because I can't see. I'm shocked. I'm stunned because I never thought Javi would do that today. And it's really unsettled me. It should unsettle every single Watford fan to make you think, because if you honestly think that is Javi Gracia picking that team off of his own back on what we saw, and if it is, I'm frightened to death because Watford fans, we've got to do something about this. We have got to. I don't ever want to see Watford players booed, and 2,000 Watford fans today jeered Sissoko off the field. And, no one wants to see that, but you understand it. And if that's what it takes to get these players out of our team and to let us have a football team to move forward, unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. And it's going to happen at home very soon if we're not very careful. And if you're going to sit there and say, Pozzo, you're doing a good job, and sorry, I'm really angry, as you can see, and I'll let someone else have a vent. Thank you for letting me vent, but I'm sorry, I cannot find anything constructive to say about what I've witnessed today. From quarter to whatever it was, 75 minutes before kickoff, I've sat here and I've thought to myself, I've walked around the house several times. I've tried to make myself busy up to kickoff. And I've sat here, I'm trying to reason in my brain with what on earth I've seen today, and I'm stunned.
Well, in terms of, and just before you go, we've had 60% of the possession, as you say. We have had effectively one shot on target. They've had 6, which means that, and I appreciate, I'm kind of coming back to this point about saying, well, we want to keep passing it short because otherwise we give the ball away percentage-wise. Percentage-wise, I don't care about. What I want to see is shots on target, shots on goal. The single, to my mind, most devastating, if you will, statistic was that if you got 10 shots on target, you were something like 90% likely to win a game. Now that goes back to my coaching days in the 90s and the 2000s. So it could well have been outdated. The football has changed undoubtedly then. But we've had 60% of the possession and we've affected 1 shot on target, which is it was a big frustration. They have had 6, which means that they are so much more efficient in terms of, getting to chances and trying to work the goalkeeper, i.e. shot on target. And Selvik, in fairness to him, he did all right. But it kind of, his good performance kind of underpins the old problem with, you know, Tony Coton winning his 3 Player of the Season awards. If your best player is your goalkeeper, you've got an underlying problem in front of him, and that was sort of what we had today. And it's not like Sheffield United. I mean, let's face it, we were playing rock bottom of the league, have lost 8 out of their 9 games, and we have basically started their season off for them. That is not an opinion. That is a fact. That is simply there. And we've turfed up and decided to seemingly go, well, I know we're up against it, but let's play it. Let's try and keep it all to nil in the first half, and then we might, you know, kind of maybe roll things on and see what we can do. And we were preparing to do 3 subs in and around the 60th minute, and just before that we concede the goal. But their game was, we'll get the ball forward and then we'll go and press our defenders, because you know what, our defenders weren't really very good at progressing the ball forward. We kept the ball, we kept so much of that 60% at the back, not harming them at all. And then it was very, very frustrating.
This is, you've said it in a nutshell. That is what our defenders do. They're abysmal. You know, there was no progression at all. It is just so bad to watch. I'm so fed up of it. I'm so sick of watching Watford and have it ruin your day and watching just rubbish. All I want to see is just a little bit of attack in a tent, some players that seem to really care and have an option and have a go and have a game. We've literally just turned up and just wandered away at the end there. We've lost the game 1-0, I think, for the third year running up there, and we've not laid a glove on them, and it's disgusting. And Pozzo, Duxbury, all of you, if you're listening, just fuck off, will you? Sorry, guys.
There you go. There's the man who doesn't like swearing, which, let's face it, on this podcast is really neither here nor there, because normally it's me who's swearing a lot, and this time I'm glad that Rich has finally joined me. Wendover's Mr. Greg, who was up at Bramall Lane today. Greg, mate, hit your mic button. Greg, are you with us, sir? No, it doesn't sound like Greg. Greg might be moving somewhere abouts, maybe out of zone. Who knows? Okay, well, we'll see. Let's get across to Mr. Ben Pegram and see how Ben is and what his thoughts are. And look, everybody here is reacting to a game. We're reacting to the deflating of the optimism balloon that was there. You know, can we get a start on something? Can we do something? And it's not happening. Ben, sir, how you doing?
I'm not bad. How are you?
Deflated, like my optimism balloon, which is a visual metaphor that I've just come up with, but never mind.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it feels deflating, having heard everything that Javi said this week around the questions around the formation and him saying, yeah, I get it. I don't have the same set of players and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with the other guys. It feels like interference, like day one of job. Let's help you out a bit more. Let's hope it's day one interference and they back off, because if this is the way he wants to keep going with it, I can't believe that he has actually watched a load of the videos and knows what's been going on, because I think you alluded to it. We looked really lopsided. All of our attacks were going down one side for a period, and then all of them would go down the opposite side for a period when we moved that same player across, similar like with Bar, etc. It's very easy to set up against. You can defend against that. You know exactly where it's going to go and what's happening with it. And there's just no change of play within the middle of it. There's no dynamism. There's no way for and I think he didn't do anything wrong, but Loser looked out of place a bit today. He was looking up for options to pass to and for players, and there wasn't anything that, apart from the really clear, obvious pass, that he could just do. And that we lost that spark that we've had from Loser, and why he's been one of our key players, where he can pull a pass out that only he can see, because it's the opposite side of the play. It's the non-obvious side. So yeah, it's day one. Well, it's game one with Javi. Let's hope that this is just game one interference. We're going to tell you kind of what to do and fit it in, but I hope he shows that he can be the leader. But I also think he needs to move away from this formation. He needs to go with what he said during the press conferences during the week, because our team is not, our squad of players is not set up to play that way, and we're going to lose out on their skills and ability that they've got by trying to play in that way. So let's hope, and like you said, Tuesday and Wednesday and Saturday next week, that we start to see him shift, him change, him show that he's flexible, and he's not just going to go at the whim of the people above him. Because otherwise, yeah, it's just going to be another 10 sets of games. We're going to start to see that frustration from the fans again, and it's just not going to be a nice place. It's going to be another revolving door season of coaches, similar to when we had like Kike come in and those other returns and failed managers that we've had plenty of.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. I think the surprise for most people was seeing KMB and Sissoko suddenly included. KMB and sorry, as anybody who's ever listened to my inane warblings, first of all, apologies, but will know that I look at stats as something that has to be read into the game rather than kind of dependent on it. But there is one that a lot of people do point out, which is like the number of ground duels, so opportunities to, you know, kind of win it or lose it effectively. And in fairness to Kayembe, which aren't words that normally fall from my lips, he won 2 out of his 3 ground duels. Musa Sissoko lost all 5 of his ground duels. There were times in that first half where I was simply watching him being run past, you know, his man, and he just let him go, and he was just walking. And if anybody can point out to me upon you know, why he is included over somebody like Quadro Bar, and therefore as a point of the selection we become inert almost, we become very defensive, because we just don't have an opportunity to kind of go forward and go through. It's certainly not because he's contesting and winning lots of things. He won 1 aerial duel, which he had, so he won 1 header, and the rest of it was hopeless. So we are very ineffective, undoubtedly. Let me ask you, so coming on, you know, when we play West Brom, and hello little Pegrams in the background, come the game, what do you want to see, you know, being done? If we're jumping you in as Yavi for a moment, pick me your front 5.
I want us to utilize the strengths of the players. So I think Kierkegaard is probably our best option up there, but what he needs is service. And I think having Irankunda and Bar on the wings gives both that threat of going down, of cutting inside and being able to unleash a shot.
Yep.
But then beating the man on the outside. And we saw that when the ball came into losers today, beating the guy down the outside and putting a ball in.
Yep.
So it'd have to be those 3 up top, in my opinion. We need to start playing with that. I think it'd be interesting. Obviously, there's talks of Chak coming back onto the grass, but we're still not sure about, or someone like Rocco Vata in that sort of number 10 role. And then behind him having Cipriano and Loser as that. I think that's got to be that midfield into attack. Because that utilises all of the players' best abilities, rather than us. I think what he tried to do today with Sissoko, and I can't believe he was on the pitch myself, because I just don't. He doesn't do the work anymore. He's just there to pick up his paycheck, and he's just getting away with it.
Yeah.
I think what he wanted him to do was to tuck inside more, so that Irankunda could become almost the second striker. He wasn't doing that. He doesn't have license not to track back because he's not a flair player. You allow Irankunda once or twice not to come back defensively to do that because he's a flair player. So I think that's what I'd look to do.
Very good, very good. Ben, sir, go and deal with little Pegrams. They're making all sorts of noise, so they are. Excellent stuff. Thank you, Ben. Lovely to speak to you, sir. There's Ben. And if everybody, saw Nottingham Forest go full on Watford today and sack Ange Postecoglou, well, if you watch Chelsea take him apart, it was a pleasure to watch João Pedro in the second half, and it was Ben Pegram who kept João Pedro. Well, we think it is, and hey, if we think it is, let's pretend it is. Let's get across to Mr. Boyd Mayover. Boyd, sir. It was a tough first lesson for Yavi. Welcome to the Championship, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Well, I think it's one of two things.
Mhm.
Either he's a brain-dead moron for picking the side,
Yep.
or he didn't pick it. It's nice and simple, isn't it? Either he is so stupid, it's beyond belief, because it means he's seen something in Sissoko. Why would he pick Pollock on the left side of the defence? I mean, I personally believe he didn't pick the side. I hope I'm right,
Yeah, I do as well, actually.
because if he did pick it, I mean, have you seen our next 4 games? We'd be lucky to
I
get
know.
a point.
Yeah, we
I
were
mean,
playing easily on paper, the easiest of the games. If you look at how the teams were
correct.
playing and the form, and obviously everybody knows that, you know, the full wheels had fallen off of Sheffield United, but like a Formula One pit crew, we got those wheels off, we got that engine running, and then we got
We
the
are
hell out of
Doctor.
Sheffield.
We are Dr. Watford.
Yes, you're
That
not
is what
wrong.
we are,
You're not
Dr.
wrong.
Watford. But you know what? You look at the side. Who is it? The players deciding to piss arse around at the back? I mean, they can't pass an accurate ball, the defence, more than 3 foot. Even Nagakia, who I really rate, some of his passing today was shocking. The other 3, Jesus wept. I mean, as somebody said that phoned in 93rd minute, Pollock's playing square balls. I mean, and how bad was the defending, Pete? Never mind the passing out of defence, which was slow, ponderous, inaccurate. They can't defend. Did they win a header in the box?
Oh, now that's a question I can go to some stats for at some point here. I'll go and do that. Hang on a second. Let me go. Let's
I'd
go for
love
defence.
to know
Right.
if we won. Yeah, defence. Did we win a header in our box?
Let's have a look. Maddie Pollock, he is top for defensive contributions. 15 he made. He made 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 block, 1 recovery, 10 clearances, and 6 headed clearances, and 1 dribble past, which isn't, for some reason, that's in defensive stuff. Or this is on FOTMob if anybody wants to go and have a look at. Unsurprisingly, the top 3 defensive contributions were us. You know, you have to look at Ben Mee and Japhet Tanganga, and they are 4th and 5th, and their numbers are half the number that Pollock and Kevin were doing, because we were drawing it surely onto ourselves. Because if we're deciding that okay, I'm going, and I apologize to everybody in the centre backs union who goes, hang on a second, you don't tend to put your best players, unless you're 1970s Germany, and I can assure everybody we're not, who would put Beckenbauer further back the older he got. You don't tend to put your best players at the back in terms of passing ability. Now, if you are going to play Pollock as a passer out, he's much better on the right. We've spoken about this now for about 18 months, because he's not naturally left-footed. I appreciate people would say, well, look at Kevin in that instance as well. I get it completely, but you're not wrong. But the point of just having the ball and retaining the ball at the back, and I appreciate I'm probably just harking back for the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and maybe, for that period, maybe. And the football has moved on. Hadn't moved on for Sheffield United today. They did the basics. They actually went and pressed. The forward line pressed. They got the ball forward. It didn't matter if they didn't have the ball or not, because you know what? They looked more dangerous when we had the ball, because you're giving it to their passers who are keep the ball away from loser. Happy, they'll be happy. Keep the ball.
Selvik had to make quite a few saves.
He did all right.
I don't think their keeper made one, did he? Missed something.
No, because it hit the. I imagine the goal, the shot on target, was the loser effort that hit the bar in the last few minutes.
What's so worrying is Luca was up there on his own. Yeah. No support, nobody to knock it off to. Holding it up. What's the point? Midfield. Well, I mean, Kayamba and Sissoko, as you said quite rightly. Sissoko was walking. I noticed it from minute 5.
Mm-hmm.
Minute 5, they were getting down the left, and Sissoko wasn't there.
Agreed.
I mean, so, but all through the team, come on, let's be fair. There was no one you could turn around and say, "Oh, well, he was good."
It's a very fair point. Nobody had a particularly great game at all, really.
Not one of them. Now, is that an attitude problem with the players? Is it, you know, they seem to play more for Pezzolano, who, according to the club, and in fairness, most of us, was a bad influence and was this and that. They seem to put more effort in for him than they did today. Now explain that one.
Yep.
Unless somebody else picked the side and they got the hump. Who knows? I mean, Irin Kunda was also walking. Now, maybe tired, maybe had a long flight. But I mean, as I said to you at the beginning of this call, either we've made the most terrible mistake with this manager or he didn't pick the side. And I'm just hoping he didn't pick the side and he'll be allowed to next week. That's what I'm hoping. Because otherwise, Pete, we're in the shit.
Well, let's hope we're not. Obviously, Boyd, wonderful as ever. Thank you very much indeed. There you go. There you go, Boyd. Along with everybody here from the start. It's not a place to hold back. It's a look. What do you think? And people will go. I've got something to say. We'll come on and say it. And fair bloody play, because that's what it's here for. Let's try and get Wendover on. We tried it before. We failed. Let's see if technology will work. Oh, look at this. That sounds like the M1. Greg, how you doing?
Hello, Peter.
How we doing?
Hello. Yeah, well, look, I'm sat here in the car with Colin thinking, why the effing do we bother? Why do we bother? Look, I want to centre on one thing that's already been mentioned.
Okay.
We have got what looks on paper a bag of riches in the centre-back position. What is Pollock doing on that pitch today? What is he doing there?
I think
he cannot pass the football.
Now that's the different point.
He's good defensively. Defensively.
Oh, he's gone out of area. Right. Oh, you're back. You're back. You're back.
We're not playing that.
No, Greg, you're going in and out, mate.
Playing with the.
No, sorry, Greg, you're going in and out. I think I get his point. I think Greg's point, and Greg, dial back in. We'll come back to you. I'm just going to go and get Uncle Ron on. But I think the point is, I like Pollock as a defender. Pollock seems to me, or appears to me, to be a what we would ordinarily call a centre back. And I mean, going back maybe a decade, maybe 15 years, where you weren't expecting your centre back to come out and just push the ball all over the place and pretend that they were Franz Beckenbauer. I think in one-to-one, in aerial duels, in defensive responsibilities, I think Pollock is up there for me. I'm really quite happy for him to be concentrating on the defensive stuff. Where we go wrong is we're trying to play strategically or tactically through in areas of the pitch where we're not hurting anybody. We never try to draw people on and then go, right, well, now what we're going to do is hit you with an incisive ball and switch play to the forwards, because we've drawn you all forward. Now we're going to play in the back behind in the spaces we created. No, we don't do that. We basically kind of go, oh shit, I'm under pressure. Give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else until the last desperate, with no quality on the ball, punt out, and up front. I'd say take out the middleman personally, but let's get to Uncle Ron. We spoke to Ben earlier on, who had childcare noises in the back, so don't be surprised if this happens. But Uncle Ron, are you with us or are you in a cupboard, Uncle?
I'm in the bathroom, so pretty close.
Everybody, I think we've all got to just take that thought out of your mind. We're not going to ask whether what you're doing there. What you're doing in your bathroom is perfectly up to you. What did you think of today? Ron, are you there?
I think he's fallen down the toilet.
I think he has. Well, thank you for jumping in, because I never know whether it's me who's fallen down the toilet or indeed Uncle Ron. And in this case, it seems to have been Ron. Okay, well, we'll hope we'll get him back in. Let's see if we can get Greg back in, and hopefully he's in better position. Greg, sir, I paraphrased what I think you were saying, which is he's a good, honest to goodness defender, but we're not playing to his strengths. We're playing to his weaknesses, aren't we?
He's a number 5. He's an old-fashioned number 5, Steve Terry type defender.
Steve Terry.
He's not a ball player. He's not a ball player. We've got loads of centre-backs that allegedly are ball players. A Banquar, our number one summer target.
Foremost Mendy.
Why can't he get the team? Why can't he get the team? It's just beyond me, Peter. Beyond me.
As a question, sir, for yourself and Colin, and a big hello to Colin, by the way. We always say hello to Colin. Thank you. The question will be: it sounded from the TV here in Romania, where I'm watching the game perfectly legally, of course. The biggest cheer from the Watford crowd
when Musa went off.
So that was clearly the feeling in the crowd. It wasn't just something that we were watching from a gantry view. And
look, Peter, I've defended him.
Yep.
Haven't I?
You have?
Useless. Absolutely useless. You know, you said about his crown jewels earlier on. Now, I hope Mrs. Sissoko knows about this, because you and I have spent an afternoon with the lovely Mrs. Sissoko, and I hope there's nothing wrong with his crown jewels.
We have. Well, I think that's a little rich. I think we stood in close proximity rather than spent the afternoon with her, I would suggest.
Yes.
And
you were talking about ground jewels. I was being a bit facetious.
That's all right. It's the way to do it. Cool.
Yeah, useless, mate. Absolutely useless. But I don't buy that he's not picking the team. Somebody else is picking the team, because if somebody else is picking the team, you'd want your big summer purchase to play. I would have thought. But don't get why Foremost Mendy, who is in the Senegalese national team, I say it every week,
you do,
isn't playing. Don't get it. Don't get it.
The question is, of course, was he the number one target? Because I'm sorry,
or was it Watford BS?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The player sitting at, I can't remember, is it Le Havre or Lorient? I think it was Lorient he was at, because he played with Loser when he was on the. I doubt that the player who wasn't really kind of doing enough to get into their first team was really number one on our search list. I think it was more just one of those things that's thrown out there as a statement.
BS. Watford BS. Yeah.
Well, it's, you know, part of it is, you know, if you say that, he might read it and might go, wow, and it might sort of, you know, make him think, you know, it's all good. You know, managers in, you know, at championship level and a lot further down do use the media to get messages through, as, you know, to supporters as well as players in many ways. So, you know, maybe they want to boost the guy up. Who knows? We'll see.
Peter, get your best players on the pitch and find a way to play them all.
Well, that's the question. Is as you said, if he was selecting it, or if other people were selecting it, why wasn't Bar included? Because, you know, we know that that's. But hey, it was an odd one. We have to hope that the team that we see, whoever is in playing, becomes a little bit more cohesive moving forward. I thought first half, you know, fine. Somebody put on our you know, kind of like put the comments, and I think it was Vic Bates said, you know, not good, not bad, but bit, you know, well, let's see how it goes. And we didn't kind of move on from that. And I think that absolutely picked out the first half beautifully. Go on.
If you're playing the ball out from the back, Abankwar is your first pick. It's your first pick, because he can bring that ball out of defence. He's not even on the bloody bench today.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I know that Abankwar was not fancied by Paolo before. I don't know how much of him old Yavi will have seen, because of course he's been away with the Irish under-21s. I don't know if he's got a knock or if he's got a pull from playing with the under-21s. There could be a reason. So, but perhaps we will find out a little bit more, rather than kind of, you know, a set preference to go with Pollock. It may be that he's seen more of Pollock in the last 2 weeks and he goes, okay, right, that's fine, I'll go with you. Who knows? I just think it's a question of, it's not a round peg in a round hole because he's a centre back and he's playing at the centre back. But are we asking our two centre backs to both defend because we're forcing them to give the ball away in dangerous positions, as well as asking them to become like the creative fulcrums? If it was me, I would be, give the ball to Imran. That would be the instruction. Give the ball to Imran. If you can, give the ball to Imran. And then if they go and cluster around Imran, you change the point of a breakout. You go out via Kiprianu or what have you, or you play what you see, fine. But don't fuck about with it, pushing it from fullback across to the fullback again constantly, and then via the goalkeeper, getting precariously shut down constantly. It felt like we were going to give something away at the end. And even if it didn't come from directly that, it was one of those things that really didn't get us going. We didn't get beyond second gear because we kept it. We were trying to busy kick it into neutrals most of the time.
But Peter, at 1-0 down, I watched a passage of play. It was Pollock to Kebben, Kebben to Pollock, Pollock to Kebben, Kebben back. What is that all about? It's because Pollock can't play.
Well, look what happened. Look what fundamentally happened.
If you're playing a 4-4-2, Pete,
yep.
If you're playing an old-fashioned 4-4-2,
yeah,
and you're playing it long, Pollock all day long. But we're not playing it long. We're trying to play from the back. We're trying to get a cart horse to be, a technician.
I think a cart horse is. I think a cart horse is rich. You stick him on the right, and I think you've got a different. I think you've got a different animal because he can actually pass. We've seen him passing decent balls. Remember the kind of like pirouette strike that Bayo hit against Derby at home. That was a Pollock ball where he put it in, and the people were going, "Well, we really like your passing." And he did turn around to one of the fan chats, which was something we got last year, not seemingly anymore. And he went, "Well, I can pass. I did play in midfield. I've got the ability." But put any professional footballer on their wrong side, and they're going to look awkward. They're going to use their stronger foot, and they're going to invariably pass to the left back. Well, he can't really pass to the left back because Wiley was bombing on an awful lot. And often leaving him hopelessly exposed. So no, I won't have Carl's, but I will have the fact that we are not playing a style to his best capability.
Right.
There's another problem
round
with this.
Peg
though.
in a square hole. Then
I'll go with that.
Round peg in a square hole.
I'll go square peg in a diamond hole. There you go. I'm all about the rhomboids, me. But there's another issue, which is you just said if you play 4-4-2 and you get the ball forward, what happens when you play forward? And any shape, doesn't matter if it's 4-4-2 or what have you. If you're playing forward into obviously it's Kieran Guard or Kieran Go as we like to call him or what have you, then he's coming to face the ball. He's going to chest it. He's going to use his foot. He's going to use his head, whatever, any playing surface to try to get that under, and then players move towards him, right? They will advance. It shifts you up the pitch. The wingers will move on and look for the flicks. You'll have another forward making a run in to go on beyond him. So if he can win anything, you're in a position to win the second ball in some way, shape or form, tidily or not, off of the next thing. When you constantly keep the ball at the back, we're not pushing up. We're not going up and supporting the forward. And we didn't do that until the last 10 minutes. And then we got the ball on the right. It came via Bar. It didn't go directly from him, but he got the ball, got to the line, and suddenly cut it back. And we'd suddenly got players into the box, including Loser, who got the touch, but it hit the bar. We could have been sitting here going 1-1, and everybody would have been saying, well, a point away is something. A little bit more of that front-footedness, and I appreciate we say it all the time, and I'm sure there'll be stat-friendly analysts and what have you will tell us, no, we've actually just played the game of our lives and what have you. Bollocks, have we? We've played an inefficient game. We've had more of the ball. We've done less with it.
And they were crap. They were crap.
They weren't. They've done what they needed to do, in fairness, which is beat what was in front of them. We're guilty there. They've done what they needed to do.
Pete, you've got the stats in front of you. What percentage of second ball did we win?
Oh, Christ. I haven't got that at all. And I'd have to be sitting there and searching, and it doesn't kind of normally stream it in all of that sort of thing.
I would suggest it is a sport. We don't win second ball, and it's week in, week out. We don't win second ball. Sheffield won all the second balls today.
Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Tackles. So tackles, they won 17 versus our 12. They had 6 interceptions. We had 9. Blocks, we had 4. They had 3. No, we outdid them in defensive actions in terms of that. And we outdid them with the passing. The problem is they had 33 touches in our box, if you'll excuse the expression. We had 16. They had 6 chances on target. We had 1. And that's the fundamental statistic that underpins a 1-0 scoreline, effectively. The more times you can get shots on target, the more chance you have of scoring a goal, the better your chance of getting a win.
We can have as many passes as you like at the, it's not hurting them, passing it backwards and forwards to each other at the back.
Absolutely.
You and I could do that. You and I could do that.
That's a push. That's a push. No, I talk a good game, but let's face it, I'm frankly crap. But there we go. There we go. Right. Okay. Well, let's get back to Ron and see if we can get him out of his cupboard and let both Colin and Greg there make their way south. Let's see if they can do. Uncle Ron, sir, we had you in the bathroom, if you'll excuse the expression. Are you there with us now?
I'm with you, but I'm not alone.
It's childcare time, everybody. I love childcare time. Come on. You know what you've got to do. You've got to say it quick because you're going to be going off and saving lives. Go.
Very quickly.
Go for it.
It's terrible. It's terrible that we've gone back to 6 years ago, and no.
Ooh.
Relax. It'll be all right. The fact that Sissoko, Peter, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We'll have to leave it for midweek.
We will do. We will catch you in midweek in a cupboard somewhere near you.
Yes. And I'll put my head in the cupboard.
I love the fact that your youngsters basically, kind of verbalise Sissoko's performance for many of us. I like that very much indeed. There we go. There goes Ron. We'll talk to him after West Brom and whatever happens with that. Let's get across to Mr. Fiander Turner. Then we're going to go to Adam, and then we'll come to Neil Nelly O'Connor. Mr. Fiander Turner, sir. How are we doing? Oh, you with us, sir?
Dreadful.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh when everybody comes on and goes, I'm really down and desperate, and I laugh at you. That's not good. Yeah, I know. It's yes. Can I just point out the fact that I believe, I'm fairly certain that Luton lost.
Yay.
So we're not the only ones.
I mean, look, I've got a different perspective on this, Pete. As you know, I'm someone that's made a big deal about not renewing my season ticket.
Yep.
With what they did to Tom, and I then had some family stuff, and I decided that I wanted to, do it for family, keep a connection with my brother, and then I changed my mind again. So I'm like a flip flopper, like Sissoko is on a pitch. It's just reached the point. Now I've been able to step back and not go to games as much, and watch it on the TV and sort of see the angles that you see as a casual fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we're not really almost rioting about the way our club is run by Gino Pozzo, and how Scott Duxbury has become a silent sort of partner in this, and how we're just allowing the same process to happen again and again. And I know I'm now filling in for Rupert by sort of sounding like Rupert, but this is where we are. I'm someone that has been said for many years to be like a happy fan and always see the positive, but you can't see any positives anymore. When you start a team with a new manager, and again, it's KMB and Sissoko, you know how that game is going to go.
Yeah.
You could at 201, you could have gone to the bookies and put your money on a 1-0 defeat. And
quite right.
No one out of those, 1,900 fans went today to support our club. And Greg and Colin and all the people that went, they deserve better. The season ticket holders that they did renew because of the faith in Tom maybe being supported into a second season, they deserve better. Everyone that's backed the club through thick and thin bought a £75 shirt that was to be worn once, that they wore it again today. We deserve better than this. And I just don't understand why we're not stamping our feet and shouting and kicking up a stink about how our club's being run into the ground. It's just unbelievable that we're we're just silently accepting our fate. Something's got to change, honestly.
Well, I can't disagree. I think, as was said in a number of discussions, I can't remember whether one was here or not. The conversation around when will long-term material change occur. For me, I knew far too much about what was going on under the manager previously to like him. I've got faith in Javi, but it was rock today. I have to say, I thought we were going to see. I really thought of all the managers who could potentially seize on that upturn in optimism, that togetherness, something that might come out, and it was all of the things that were, put up as, well, why Yavi on the day when he came out? And I was elated as much as anybody, frankly. It was like, great, here we've got somebody who was probably the manager that most people went, well, if anybody deserves a bit of time, perhaps it's him. I'm not saying it is. Other people will have their own preferences. But the questions were, well, he doesn't really play wingers. We've already done the fact that we've recruited, a shed load of wingers or attacking number 10s, depending on whichever one you want to call it. Fine. If you're still not going to play them because you're going to play Kayembe and you're going to play Sissoko, then it's tantamount to shooting yourself in the foot, surely. And it just seemed an odd one. It now makes, the game against West Brom at home in front of a partisan crowd, and everybody's going to be with him. Everybody's going to want to see him come out and be on the front foot. If we go down, go down fighting, people will know that there aren't many games where you go, oh, it's a return of a manager. Graham Taylor's first return, if you remember, we were 2-0 up against Ipswich Town. Yes, people, I'm talking about 1996, something like that. And we were 2-0 up against Ipswich Town, and we ended up losing it 3-2. And it was all a bit flat, but everyone went, first hour, we gave them a go, didn't we? We didn't give them a go today. You even had QSF when we're 2-0 down. I think it was against Arsenal. Can't remember, was it 2-0? It might have been. I can't remember. But we got the equaliser to make it 2-2. There was an opportunity to go, no, we're going to do things differently. We're going to kind of, literally let slip the hounds and let them go and really kind of just go at them. Because if any one team needed to be gone at, it was Sheffield United. They had played 10 games before today, including their cup match, which they also lost. They conceded 18 goals in those 10 games, and they scored 4. And we went up against them and went, well, we're going to keep it shut at the beginning. Bollocks to that. Go and have a go at them. Now we're walking into quite literally a scarier look set of fixtures than we've seen from, should have been Sheffield United today. They didn't have Hamer, playing, who's really their equivalent of loser and plus. But yes, very, very frustrating, very frustrating. What can we do? Well, the thoughts have got to be, he's brought in a manager. He's got to let him come in and do his thing within what the regime is. And we know that the regime is not going to not interfere. We've heard it umpteen times. We heard, who was it came out and talked about, Giraldi would always come out and have a look and make notes. And then Giretta did the same thing. And, there's always going to be a level of interference. When we did Parlaci Gino, we were talking about, well, hold on, don't you micromanage these? And there was a denial that they micromanaged them. And then literally within the next sentence, it was, you've got to remember with Rob Edwards, we don't just look at the game, we also look at what's going on here. Right. So that's not micromanaging then, where what's standing over somebody's shoulder. We know that that's the case. It can work. Don't get me wrong. There aren't many work situations or even indeed football management situations where a lack of input from those upper people in the club doesn't work. Our one seems to be exclusive, that they just seem to want to come in and have different agendas, and that seems to be what the frustration was. We had a manager who had one agenda. We had we've got an owner who, as we all know, has drifted, shall we say, away from interest of the club, came back to it. I think most people look at the squad we've got and say, okay, it's young, it's experienced, but there's something there. There's some excitement there, but we seem to be squandering that. We have to hope that this change is just going to take a little time to make effect. But he's been brought in when there are 5 games that are really quite tricky. And we've seen from Nottingham Forest that sometimes owners, they're not prepared to sit around and wait. And it'd be ridiculous to be saying that after the first game. And I can't believe I'm actually verbalizing it. I apologize to everybody who would object to me doing that. But, you know, he's got these games and he's got to try and get something out of them. If we just go out and put and play in a way that isn't conducive either in terms of personnel, i.e. we've got some wide players, call them wingers, call them attacking midfielders, whatever you want to call them, the Rocco Vatas of this world, the Iran Kundas, the Bars of this world. Look what happened in that last minute. We went, right, get bodies in the box, get the ball out wide, get it in. It is not rocket science. And suddenly we're hitting the bar. We've done nothing up until that point. So just go back and keep it simple. Let them play. Let them play. Give them enough structure so that there is something almost to deviate from, that they can play when they see it. There was a really interesting thing on social media this week because, and it only caught my ear because Troy Deeney was on it, and he was talking to Will Still, the now manager of Southampton, and he was talking. You may have seen it. It's only about 20 seconds. I didn't get the full gen on it, but he was basically saying, you know, here at Southampton, where they've obviously previously had Russell Martin, he of Rangers fame, and he'd said, you know, we're doing things in training, and I'm going, stop, you're giving the ball away there because it's really tight there. Where's the space? And they go, it's over there. You go, right, so why aren't we moving the ball that way? And the player's request was, well, are we allowed to do that? And he went, that's the problem. You've got to have a structure, but you've got to empower your players to play what they see, to play somewhat off the cuff, because you've got to trust their decision making, because they're the only ones who are seeing the pictures that they're seeing. And I just don't think we do that enough. But sorry, Paul, I've just ranted on like a lunatic. I apologise. What do you think for the West Brom game?
I mean, look, I just think us Watford fans need to wake up to it. If Ngakia misplaces a pass, or if someone, or if Pollock kicks the ball off for a throw because he's on the wrong side, let's stop going after the players when they make one mistake. I mean, how many years has the owner made mistakes? And yet we let him off the hook when the protest started. They stopped because we just decided that the focus should be back on the players again. We've just been tricked into thinking it's the players' fault. And maybe that's why Sissoko plays, because then it's someone to be the fall guy for the fact that the owner just really hasn't got a clue anymore. Because there's no other logic for putting a bloke whose legs have gone in a position where you need to get up and down the pitch. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no way of logically putting a 36-year-old player on the wing. It just doesn't make sense, does it? So there's got to be something that changes. If we go a goal down on Wednesday, it's going to be toxic anyway. But let's not make it toxic to the players. They've performed when they had a coach they didn't even like. So, you know, it's got to be something where the owner feels the heat on this, because he's done an absolute job on us and made us think it's someone else. And I don't know how we've fallen for it. So if we win and win well on Wednesday, brilliant. Let's take it forward. But if we play poorly again, Gino Pozzo needs to know.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much indeed, Paul. Direct the blame where applicable is the answer. As I said, I've seen enough of and heard enough, trust me, about the previous guy to go, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be sending an email to the club anytime soon about the removal of Pezzolano. However, is that the underlying issue, the long-term underlying issue? No, I don't think anybody thinks it is. I genuinely don't. But the point is, what do we do? What do we do about it? So there we go. Let's get across to Mr. Adam over there in the US. Adam, sir, it was a bit of a damp squib today, wasn't it not?
Fuckety fuck is kind of what springs to mind.
Good, strong use of language. I like that. I like inventive use of swearing. We're not lazy with it. We don't just lean back on it. No. Have a bit of
You know what came to mind actually? What came to mind to me was I was thinking of Four Weddings and a Funeral, the beginning scene with Hugh Grant, and he's late. He wakes up and his alarm clock went off late, and he's like, I think he said like fuck or bugger, fuckety. Yeah. That's basically, when I saw the team sheet this morning, I was like I was depressed. I was like, this is going to be a 1-0 loss. And guess what happened? It was a 1-0 loss.
You weren't wrong, that's for certain. It was just It was.
It was like Petzolano all over again. I'm like, what? Why is Pollock playing on the left? He can't play on the left. We know he's a decent defender. It's been said before. He needs to play on the right. They're going to play that formation.
Yep.
End of. I mean, and we're not that smart. Maybe we are. I don't know. These are the only thing I can say is maybe all the players coming back from international duty. Javi hadn't got a lot of time. There was really they seemed to be a little bit clueless. They didn't seem to know how they were supposed to be playing. The playing out from the back was just ludicrous because it was almost in slow motion. And I was watching on, I Follow, Derek Payne's just saying, if they're going to do this, they've got to do it quicker. And it was just ponderous. And how many times did we give the ball away in our own, not necessarily in our own box, but a short pass, we're sort of pondering on the ball, and then Sheffield United player comes in and we lose the ball and they're attacking immediately because we're not able to get it out of defence.
I agree wholeheartedly. It was as always, and I hear Paul's point about, well, don't blame the players all the time, or be with them and support the players. I get that completely, but it was it was such a frustrating watch that absolutely nothing seemed to be getting out of neutral, let alone into first, into second, into third, into fourth. At no point did we feel like we were operating or functioning at a high level today. It felt completely dysfunctional. Now we have to hope that what that is the teething problems under Xavi, and it's just going to take a little while for him to kind of get everything sorted and and content. Let's hope that is the case. I fear that it's I'm not going to say I fear it's not. I'm sure it will be, and that's the important thing. So that's what I'll take out of it, and take it from there. But it was an awful watch, I have to say. It really was.
It was painful.
Yeah, no.
Where was Petri today?
Well, yeah, there were a number of players, and I that were missing from the squad, and I, in fairness to Gino Pozzo and also to Paolo Pezzolano kind of dealt with that question, I thought, quite well when he turned around and said, well, we've got 25 man squad, I can only name 20, so there's always going to be somebody who's missing out. I did think that after Petri's game in the last home match, where I thought everybody thought he'd done really well and was a good force for good, and especially if you're going to play that 4-2-2-2, which I don't think it quite was, but it wasn't quite anything really. But all of the real width was coming from Wiley down one side and and Ngakia down another. And Ngakia didn't do anything particularly wrong.
No, he didn't do anything bad.
But I agree, it was an odd one where you'd have hoped that there might have been, I don't know, just something a little bit more that might have allowed us to focus on it. But who knows?
You think you were new manager bounce and all that stuff. It was almost like a reverse.
It did feel it. I mean, it just felt like it was I don't know. It just felt flat, and everything that had led up to it was I don't think it was overhyped. I'm not putting any responsibility. He was like, look, here we are, we've got the new man in, let's go with it. Here he is, here's Yavi's week, here's this, here's that, which is what everything we would want to have. But it just felt like it just absolutely stopped, stone cold dead at the announcement of the team. Because I think most, certainly from the supporters' point of view, most people were trying to stay glass half full, but it just felt incomprehensible. That what we were doing was, here we are going to the bottom of the table team who have, within Sheffield United's own admission, all over the place, absolutely horrendous start of the season. And even when they weren't very good, we managed to contrive a way of us losing that game. which
we
was
like to
which was odd.
kickstart other teams' seasons, don't we?
Oh, and then some, and then some. Just jolly frustrating. But there we go. There we go. Anyway, Adam, sir, we have West Brom to look forward to. Obviously because it's a 3-game week. What do you want to see happen against West Brom fundamentally, just at a high level?
At a high level, I'd like to see us on the attacking front foot from the get-go. I would like Irankunda and Bar to start, if possible, just for the pace that they bring to the side. I would... Yeah, I'm not against having, the fullbacks, and it's just the formations. I like when Petrie was playing and Wiley's playing, those two on either flank are great. But then I go, can you have Bar and Irankunda and Petrie and Wiley all playing at the same time if they're playing in those wide positions?
Yeah, if you're going to fail going on the front foot. I mentioned earlier on here, but I don't know if you were around for the Ipswich game when GT first came back. And whilst
I was.
Yeah, whilst it was obviously ultimately a frustrating both relegation battle and also game individually, because we were 2-0 up and then Ipswich came on and you could, GT learn why we were where we were. And he tried his level best. At least we came out of that game going, we can at least go on the front foot. We can at least go and hurt teams, even if we know we're going to get it, kind of at the back. Here we are giving Sheffield United their first clean sheet all season. We still can't keep one, despite playing up against a team who'd scored 4 goals in 10 games up until that point. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, that's quite scary. Do you remember that Spurs side with I think it might have been Nick Barmby, Klinsmann?
We were talking.
They were like the Fabulous Five or whatever. They conceded a shitload of goals.
Absolutely.
But God, they were so fun to watch because they were always going to outscore the opposition invariably.
Well, we were talking on Thursday night, and it will be out, but it'll only be on audio only, to a certain Mr. Kevin Miller, who wasn't in goal for that game because of being sent off.
I knew Kevin well. I used to go hang out with him quite a bit.
There we go. What a lovely guy. Well, we had a long chat with him. He's a lovely guy, but he doesn't have very good Wi-Fi because he's based in obviously in Devon and Cornwall. And trust me, it broke down in about half an hour. It broke down about 10 times. And in the end, we went, sod the video. We'll just do this via a chat. And it was very, very nice indeed. And of course, he was in and around the squad. He didn't play in that game because he got sent off against Middlesbrough. We talk about that, and we talk even about the let's be honest, you're playing up against that team who had, if I remember rightly, you had Sheringham, you had Jurgen Klinsmann, you said Nicky Barmby, you had Darren Anderton, and the other one was
wasn't Bale, was it?
No, it was Dumitrescu, who was this little Romanian lad who did that sort of Rocco Vata kind of little step, thinks you're going to go to the left and does you on the right every single time. You know what he's going to do. No way you can stop him. And the player in goal, the goalkeeper, was a Mr. Perry Digweed. We even talked about him. Oh, all of our yesterdays. Well, that'll be coming out and something for you to look forward to, or not add. But hopefully you can hear from your old mate Kevin. That'd be very nice indeed. Lovely stuff, Adam. Thank you very much indeed. Right, let's get on to let's see if I can move over. Let's get on to some 5-word reviews, and then allow all of you crazy cats. What do I sound like? To get out with it. Yeah, 5-word reviews. Let's get to that. Where are we? Bosh. Let's see if that's working. Look at that. It's even working, everybody. Almost. Never mind. Ryan Cripps says, shambolic performance today. The blades were there for the taking, and we certainly didn't capitalise. Bad start for Yavi, but onwards and upwards. Yeah, no, that's it's probably all going to be about doing a little bit to, let's not completely overreact. As a note from Mark Schofield, he's gonna say when I come back from it. Pete Ryan said John Smith's FC 1, Aperol Spritz 0. Dave Lavender said 2 shit sides out there today, and we got exactly what we deserved, which was nothing. Edward Hayter said was always going to happen. Ben he of Jarvis the dog says clueless and toothless. Silderman says enough with the coaches, let the players coach themselves. Well, they seem to do all right in the last couple of games. Silgerman back again, enough with the coaches, he said. Gaz says, 12,534 days since the last away win. Well, it feels like it, at least. Vic Bates says, Wiley scores, we win that. That effort, it comes back to the old strikers. A striker's going to go across goal, and then it'll be, it gives you something. But in this particular instance, yeah, not so much. Never mind. Smitty says, back to absolute boring dross. Yes, hello, Brian. Says, Grazia wasn't, nor is the answer. Wake up, Watford fans, he says. I can only say Wibble, says John Parslow, utilising the old Blackadder effort to try to keep things going. New gaffer, same old shit, says Kev Robbins. Simon Parkin says, Sissoko, go, leave, adios, retire. Markle says, rapidly falling out of love. Brian's back. He said, he's better than you. He's better than you. That Chris Wilder, he's better than you. Echoing, obviously, the that great chant that we gave against Marco Silva when he came back. Remember those days when we used to play Everton and beat them? Blimey, wake up. Call for Yavi, says Gaz. Yeah, it is. It's welcome to the Championship. It's not the Premiership. We know he's worked in the Premiership. It is something in and of itself. And we've got to allow the guy the chance to get used to it. Or wake up, yep, absolutely no quality and no bounce, says Mark of Watford and England. Hey, Mark. Hampshire Hornets, says Sissoko, stealing a living. Justin said Tufty pisses in the sangria. Oh, Tufty. Yes, it does. Tufty, if you watch the or heard the opposition view, you'll know that one. Lee Loco Milky Joe says 0 out of 10 for all usual shite. Pete Fincham says the common denominator is Pozzo, and that's, I think, something we all know. But we've got a squad. Let the manager have it. Let him get on with it and try and see what he can do, and then judge him on that. Because, Paolo Pezzolano, as I say, I heard an awful lot of stuff. Oh, crying out loud, did I? However, leave the guy alone, see what he can do, and then judge him on that. Same shit, player power rules, says Brian. John Parslow says Elton's kick can fuck off. Oh, dear. Brian again, kickstart shit team season. Watford starting team seasons since 1881, says Mark Carpenter. Barbed Wire says piss poor, pathetic, pitiful performance. Nice, I like that. Barbed Wire, well done, Gary. Willie Eckers says fuck off, Sissoko, piss poor. Alan WFC, Yavi did not do his homework. Harry said Pezzolano last 11 was better. Well, yes, I can't deny it. It absolutely was. Thomas J. Design, hello, Tom, says time to play the best players. I think that's the common thing that we're seeing. Let's not play in blue, says Ian. Long journey ahead, ditch passengers, says Pete Ryan. Carl Campion, special edition shirt, my arse. We'll talk about that just at the end. Catherine Pettifer says things can only get better. Chris Taufer said bounced straight in the bin. Mr. Lancey says I nearly travelled to Sheffield. Skylar Rose, 5 words out of the window. Quite right. Why do we do it? Every fucking season we give the worst side in the division a win because we turn up and get our shorts pulled down and play like we haven't got a clue what we're doing. I'm so sick of it. What the hell was that team sheet? Kayembe. David Sweet says, how long before Big Ange gets the job at the Vic? I must confess, I did post something about that on a Telegram group. Slower, even slower, says Terry. You're not wrong. Mantelpiece. I like that. Mantelpiece is good. Please start our best players. Mark Valentine, new manager Flounce. Normally I won't have the word flounce used unless it's in tandem with basically insulting Todd Cantwell, but in this instance, absolutely perfect. Well done, sir. Yavi picked the wrong team, says Paul Wareham. Steve Potso out says Uncle Ron meltdown inward bound. Well, I think it would have done, but there's basically kryptonite for Ron is his own children, which kind of makes parenthood rather tricky, I would suggest. Pony team selection yet again, says Vince Smith. Dunny says a lot of fart, no poo. Can't hide behind Pezzolano now, says David Saville. I hope he learnt a lot. Taste the Biscuits 1979 says it's QSF all over again. Well, no, QSF got a result in the first one. It was the second one that was that Man City. Remember that one? Crying out loud. Hope he learned a lot. QSF. James Trendle says Sissoko, Kayembe. Why? Just why? Fuck off, Sissoko. Can we just pick a good lineup for once? Says Tom. Hey, Tom. David Sweet, shameful. Don Pisder. Don't understand the starting lineup. Why? Absolutely fucking shit. Start Vata. We wasted the first half. If you look at the stats, we had 0 for XG. And you know what I think about XG necessarily, but it does give you an indication of how much has been created. They had nothing, we had nothing. It was like, well, could we just start on 46 minutes? Might help. Quokka says hardly testing the opposition goalkeeper for 85 minutes is not going to win games. Bart and Vata need to start. KMB and Sissoko are shit, says Bob. Jason says bullshit. And cutting off flesh cancer remains, says Jonathan Hale, with I think probably as good an articulation of what a number of people have said about the general situation at this moment in time. So there we go. Let's get on to the long forms quickly. It's just incompetence, top to bottom, never going to change under this ownership. Let me just quickly nip back to the let's quickly go back to that and go there. There we go. I just wanted to go before I do that. Mark Schofield's point earlier on. What will happen if we don't win any in the next 9 games? This is now becoming laughable. I really thought we could win this one. It's not looking great, is it? Mark, you've written it, and I thought it earlier on. I agree with that wholeheartedly. It does beg the question, and it is a question that's begged within football as well, because Forest have just sacked their second manager. We're not out of October yet, so it becomes a thing. What we just need him to do is get on with it, and hopefully he just needs to be on the front foot more than we've seen today. Surely, I would suggest. Let's get on to this. Lee Loki Milky Joe said it's just incompetence, top to bottom, never going to change under this ownership. Paul Fiander Turner says Sissoko could have justified his start by putting in a shift. He didn't even get close to acceptable. Simon Parkin said it's already toxic. Was it a good setup and performance? No, but the toxicity from some of the fans was embarrassing. It's Yavi's first game. Wiley or lose a score. And it's exactly what was said earlier on. If it's like that in 5 to 6 games, possibly justified, but not yet. Embarrassing toxicity. I think the suspicion is the fact that seeing that team come out and it being his first game, this was almost like the team that was suggested that Mr. Pezzolano should possibly put out. If that were the case previously, it's certainly an advisory. We need to make sure that Yavi is the one pick in the team, because let's face it, he's the one who's going to get judged on his results, not by us, but by the owner. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let's just absolutely get behind him for all these games coming forward. He's done enough to justify our support long and hard. Carl Campion says we need a result today. We needed a result today. Will we get a result in the next 4 games? Worrying times. Paul, we heard him earlier on, says Moji starting 11 is shit, isn't it? WFC Sheff says Byats, yes man, delivers a generational shit show. Very good. Hampshire Hornets, Sissoko would not start for any other team in this league. He's an absolute fraud of a player, and without a shadow of a doubt, the worst Watford FC captain in my lifetime. I've got nothing there. Barb Dwyer, hello Gary, says 5 games until the international break. Tom's back again. He says, we really need to start chanting Pozzo out. How much longer can we have our heads in the sand? Time to be vocal and let them know we want change. Will it make a difference? Probably not, but it's needed. Fair enough. Tom's put, I want to see this lineup on Wednesday if I'm not losing my shit, he says. Right, okay. Let's see what everybody says on here. He wants Selvik at the back, 2 centre-backs. He's playing a 4-2-3-1. See what everybody thinks here. A Bankwa on the left, a Lane right side of the centre-backs. He wants Ngakia and Wiley starting. Hector, Cipriano and Loser as the front 2, or the 2 midfielders in front of the back 4. He wants Iran Kunda on the left. He wants Bar on the right, and he wants Vata through the middle behind Kiramgar. I think quite a lot of people will agree with quite a lot of that. I really do. Tom's back again. He said, I just don't get how anyone can pick that lineup when pretty much majority of the supporters could pick a better one. Sissoko should be stripped of the captaincy straight away. Play to our strengths. We have some exciting talent. If we're going to lose, let's lose 4-3. Didn't agree. Absolute head's gone, says Thomas. Let's have a look at that. What's this from? This is from Javi Garcia. In attack, I think Musa arrives many times. If you dominate the game, he's strong with his head, and it makes us a good balance in attack. Oh, wow. That seems to be accredited to Yavi. Ooh, I'd say bollocks personally, but there we go. Boyd, we heard from him earlier on. He said Pollock can't pass 5 feet. Did Yavi pick the side? Let's get this owner out. Yavi is a massive issue. Pidge says, I'm glad Yavi is back, but someone else picked that team. Tesla Ventura, Dean says slamming Pollock is harsh. Jesus, no, I don't disagree. I think we're trying to get Pollock to play something that is not really his game, but generally overall, and I'm talking about football here in general, and it may just be me and an old fart just venting, in which case, forgive me. Don't worry, I'll be shouting at pigeons on a park bench anytime soon. But is the fact that we're not all playing with fullbacks of the technical capacity or value that Pep Guardiola is, and everybody's trying to play this. Let's all play out from the back, and I get it, but a variation. We used to have teams who would vary how they would play in order to go and get results, and some of them weren't liked very much by wider football. I mean, Cambridge, Wimbledon, indeed Watford fly to mind for playing against the fashion at the time, but doing it effectively and doing it, okay, not Cambridge necessarily, but excitingly in other ways. So no, Dean, I don't disagree. Slamming Pollock is harsh. I think we're asking him to do something we don't want him to do. He was top of the defensive actions across the whole game today. I think as a good old-fashioned centre half, I think he's absolutely there. But I want to see us go, you know what? I don't want him to have the ball all the time. I want him to give it to somebody else and then him use his defensive nous to organise, making sure. And the question I always had as coaching was, when everybody else is playing, what if? What if we lose it there? Let's go and get our defensive shape. What if he gives the ball away? What if they break now? What if this? I want him to be the absolute defensive consciousness of the team, because that's what he does. And then when he sees it and goes there, the man's that's as brave as a lion. He'll put his head in where most people won't want to put their feet. Use him as that defensive piece rather than putting him on the left, putting him on his wrong foot and asking him to try to kind of build play from the back with nothing going on. We've got one playmaker. Get him on the ball. Get Loser on the ball. Surely, I know that's possibly oversimplistic, and people will tell me I'm wrong. This is about your opinion. Tell me I'm wrong. Quite happy for it. Fully agree. How many coach picks Sissoko? I have no idea, says Dean. Has to be forced from upstairs. Yellow Army says, pretty sure it's not the head coach picking the team right now. You've got the theory of this. Joke of a club, says Owen. Jake says, unforgivable performance, disgraceful start to finish. How can you start Sissoko and Kiembe from the start and Ince coming on? It was an interesting one because we talked about Ince being on the bench because he'd been kind of in the hinterlands. I thought he did okay when he came on, but he didn't do exactly as Wendover said. When you're bringing somebody off the bench, when you're 1-0 down, you need to have an impact sub. And we didn't use that. We waited for Rocco to come on. Would rather booing than happy clapping, says Tom. Gino has to go, says Owen. Boyd says, totally agree on Pollock. And Gary Iron, sorry about the manager. Sorry, but the manager is not picking the team. How can we lose it against the bottom side with a load of crock? Felt like Loser was below par, he says. Well, there we go. Let's get back to the final thing that I want to finish on, which is the lovely people at Watford Limericks always send us through a limerick, and sometimes I forget to end on it. I really think I should, so I'm going to get to that. But before we do, let's just have a little 2 seconds about thinking about the blue shirt, because it was originally, everybody was told it was going to be a third shirt. Then it became a kind of special edition, one that we are only going to use once. And we played that in the game. Obviously, it was against Blackburn. Unfortunate result, which means that particular kit is not going to be longed for very much. If you're as dull as me, and you go to the FA advertising and logo regulations for the shirts, because you can't just put anything on a shirt. It's very, very restrictive what you can have on a shirt and where you can have it. And they have logos, icons, and symbols. You cannot have anything other than a sponsor. And if it is a sponsor, it has to go in those designated areas where we see people having advertising. And anything is, and literally classes anything as an icon or iconography, any symbol, etc. You know where that you can have the sponsorships. You can have it on the left arm, where we've got University of Hertfordshire. You can have it on the chest, obviously, where we've got Mr. Q. You've got a thing on the back of the shorts, which is Box T, I think it is. I think that's what it is. And you can have one at the base of the on the back of the shirt, where we've got Coca, the noodles people. You can't have anything else anywhere else unless it is a club icon or logo, so to speak, and a manufacturing one. And we, of course, had the E's from Elton John to commemorate, and quite right as far as I'm concerned. Great, have that. Interesting that what came out today wasn't that. It had Kelme signs on it. So today's one was compliant. The other one wasn't. So we've had a one-off that people have gone out and bought for £76, or many people have done, because it's the quote-unquote biggest selling shirt of all time, or the fastest selling shirt of all time at Watford. And now it's not quite the same one that you've got with the one we had today. The only change from replacing the E's on the shoulder and on the short strips was on the back. The E at the back was replaced with the little kind of hornet logo. So it's changed, so it's compliant. Personally, I think, well, I'd rather us use the blue, because we've had the green one, but the green one doesn't work because of colour blindness between green and the red. A lot of people apparently with colour blindness, those are the two colours they fail to be able to differentiate from. So I believe, Watford would have been, I don't know, wrapped over the knuckles, or been told about after the Charlton game that, no, you don't wear green, because too many people see red and green as the same sort of thing. You can't wear yellow and red because we've got the red on there, and Charlton have got that. We couldn't wear it today. So they're wearing the blue. So it's not going to be a one-off. The version we've got is the one-off. This was a special players edition, which has been altered to be in that way. Would that be £60 now if you didn't have the Elton John ones? I don't know, not sure, because we never got an explanation as to why that as a one-off was £76. The new one, who knows? I doubt that'll get it. I doubt that'll be released. It'll just be the Elton one, and fair play, because as I said before, the man deserves everything that comes his way, from Watford in terms of appreciation and thanks. Somebody else who was owed appreciation and thanks, I think, was Yavi. Hasn't got off to the best of starts, but we've got to go in and help and support on Wednesday and support the team and get behind the team. And it's almost like that Sheffield Wednesday thing of support the team, that come what may, support the team, and we'll see what happens. Other comments have been made about, again, the ownership, and I think that's probably shared a lot. But let's just see how Wednesday goes. We'll be here after that. We're going to be recording with our friendly West Brom fan, Where's Kev? I think we're going to be doing some of that tomorrow, and then putting some nonsense out, no doubt, very shortly. Disappointing start, shouldn't ruin our Saturdays. So everybody, thank you very much for taking part. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you soon. Definitely Wednesday, but look out for some nonsense in the meantime. And the girls are at home tomorrow, 3 p.m, Kings Langley.